Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, the next question comes from Disney Princess 20, and she asks, how do you think the experiences you made while and after creating Legend and Anniversary have affected the development of Underworld? So I guess that's kind of asking how much you've learned since you've taken on Tomb Raider.
Well, I'll let Eric go into the zesty, sexy form, creative aspect of it, but from the production side, I was not on Anniversary. That was running concurrently with our pre-production for the most part, but one of the big takeaways for me from Legend, from just a production standpoint, were the ways in which we wanted to front-load design thought as much as possible and get as much work done up front so that we didn't have as much time iterating on the game in 3D in ways that were radical and destructive. And on Legend, I think we came together with a very good game at the end, but the process of getting there was painful, and we have definitely taken efforts to streamline that by trying to front-load design thought and putting an emphasis on having mechanics done earlier so that you can see their practical in-game effects and you know you're working with something fun before you get to final art on everything and have to move stuff around. And well, I think we made a lot of progress in that area. There's still more to do, but I think that was the one big takeaway of coming out of Legend for me.
So when you say front-load design, does that mean look at the bigger picture, like from the off? Or?
Well, on Legend, we were starting over from scratch, in a lot of ways, sort of defining what the game was going to be again, what it meant to make a Tomb Raider game, and what the core gameplay values were. So we were operating in a darkened room. So we had the ability to leverage, okay, we basically want to do this game plus this much more. So starting just from that gave us a huge leg up in terms of we knew what game we were making in the main. But even going beyond that and extending it and saying, okay, well, how can we try to make the design more solid up front? How can we get more certain that what we're doing is going to be fun and is going to net out to a good experience such that we don't need to redo art once it's already been finalized, which is a loop that we had gotten into. Any game where you crawl on the art as opposed to run past it, you will have to iterate in 3D in ways that can drive a producer a little batty. But I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to get ahead of that, and I think that is bearing fruit right now. We're actually polishing rather than just trying to get stuff playable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got any thoughts on that?
Alex pretty much covered it. It's in the action-adventure genre, Tomb Raider is about the hardest game you could possibly make. And the fact that we've done 2 of them, there's hundreds of little lessons here and there that are all pretty boring to listen to, but they all add up to it is really hard to make these kinds of games. And by this being the 3rd one, we can now do it much better and easier than we ever could before.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, the Anniversary team really had almost the experience that you'd like to have straight out the gate, because they didn't do a lot of extending on the feature set, so that from day one they were ready to go and block mesh in a game that was working before, you know, we had to actually go through months of getting the moves done over again to see exactly how they're going to work. So we were much better than Legend, but Anniversary started off with you could actually block mesh out the whole game and start playing it and moving it around in 3D and actually doing an additional layer of checking to make sure it's fun before you started putting art on it. But a game like ours is just irreducibly, you will be iterating in 3D, and so the lesson to take away is how to continue to erode at the amount of iterating you need to do on the back end.
Yeah, and because we have this jump into next gen, that's such a big problem in and of itself. There used to be 3 textures per wall face, now we've got 12 textures per wall face. That's a big enough hill to climb. If we had to climb that hill and climb the hill of how do you actually make a Tomb Raider game, that'd have been crazy. That's what sinks games into 4-year development cycles. Whereas with us, we knew how to make that kind of game. We could concentrate our effort on making it in next gen.
So the next question comes from Petras, who asks, Assassin's Creed had free climbing, Uncharted has incredible graphics. What's the one thing that will make Tomb Raider Underworld unique and better compared to other titles when released?
Well, it's going to sound like I'm cheating by saying 2 things, but it's really just one thing. But we are going to have amazing graphics. People are going to be just blown away. The stuff that people have seen in the screenshots so far, they're nothing compared to what we have on the artist screens right now in the building. But the one thing that we have is when I bring other designers, other artists from different projects in the building, other people from different departments, and I let them play through the later parts of the game that we haven't shown in any of our demos or screenshots, they almost all say the same thing when they're done. They say, wow, that was epic. And it's because the things that you're doing are on such a large scale and they have such a great impact, and the spaces you get to go into and explore and do things in and see the effects of that manipulation, it's epic.
Yeah, I really can't put it much better than that. Scale, payoff, epic. Yeah, that sums it up.
And Lara's animation's awesome as well, from what I've seen. But I guess you guys will see that soon. And the next question, quite a few guys touched on this one, but could you estimate how long the game would take to complete if a player who enjoyed exploring, solving puzzles and finding secrets and playing on the hardest difficulty was in control? Or how about an average player? So just a kind of general indication of the length of the game, I guess.
Well, we're still too early to be able to tell that in all of the respects that you just asked, because we haven't done enough focus testing yet to know what the spectrum of average users are. But we know that if you went through it as fast as you possibly could without making a single mistake and knowing all the answers to all the puzzles and everything, it's twice as long as Legend. And that's literally if you had the strat guide in your lap and you did things out of order just for the purpose of trying to get it as fast as you could.
Okay.
No actual player could do that. It's going to be upwards of 10 hours. How much beyond that is going to really depend on the player and what happens between now and ship.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no player. That means you use Scion 05.
And there's a final question here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to answer this, but can you tell us about when we might see a trailer or some actual in-game footage?
Yeah, I just came out of a meeting to talk about the trailer. We're looking at something coming out this summer.
Sweet. Okay, and so that concludes the first Tomb Raider podcast from Crystal. Over the next few months, we'll be doing a lot more of these. So thanks to Eric and to Alex, and we'll be seeing you soon with some more of your questions.